Get down. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? How's your mama? How's your family? I know you ain't seen my face in maybe it's been a week. I apologize for that, but let's get back like we never left. We got UFC Noche, Lopes versus Silva. Pretty wide odds on this card. We're going to go down through every single fight. I've already broken down the main event. I got Delianico. Yeah, the guy that trained with Robert Valentin. That guy. I already broke that down. It's going to happen. It was supposed to happen a few weeks ago. It is what it is. But I'm going to go through every single fight. Breaking down every single fight. My prediction and maybe the best bet. I also have a solid 3-man that I think is money for this card. Did well on even though I didn't do a recap. We went 9-12 on picks on the last card. We got Reese McKee wrong. We got Andreas Gustafsson wrong, but that was a very, very low confidence pick because I thought he would. I really said that fight could play out like Carlos Leal and Muslim Salikov. But I also said I thought Andreas was better than Carleal, but I also thought Renat was better than Muslim, and it played out just like that fight, right? And there was another fight that I got wrong that I can't Huffy got exposed. It is what it is. Let's start with Alice Pereira versus Montserrat Rendon. Look, this is a tough one. 19 years old, this chick Alice is. Younger than me. I mean, a kid. Younger than me. But they're looking to make her a big star. Brazil, her face is everywhere. You know, I saw her go viral on social media. The UFC, they skipped the Dana White's Contender Series. She skipped all that shit. She's right on the big show. Look, this is tough because she's fighting a girl who she did just lose. I want to say to Daria. There it is. Hey, man. Hey. She lost to Daria, but look, she can wrestle. Alice, big power in the hands. Nice striker, not super technical. She's just running through girls, right? Running through girls. She had a decision in her last fight, but she's running through girls and they're kind of nobodies. Where we looking at Montserrat, she's had 2 fights in the UFC. She showed that she can wrestle. She doesn't have great takedowns, but it's a grinding pace. You know, she stays competent on the feet. She will get outstruck, but she grinds. She hangs tough. She comes forward. She likes to grind. She likes to clinch. She likes to trip. And I don't know what Alice is going to look like against that style. You know, I've never seen her fight that style, and I feel like there's a chance that she could freeze, but there's also a chance that she could just beat the shit out of Rendon. I think the UFC would rather the latter, but, I mean, super young, man. Fighting a Mexican. Close to home. It's in San Antonio. I'm going to pick the Mexican here. Very low confidence because, like, I just think that her 2 fights of experience, and she's 36. She's seen a lot of things. 19 it's tough. It's hard to be that successful. It's very, very rare. And this isn't the best matchup that you can give her for her debut. Now, she's not dangerous. Rinda's not dangerous. She doesn't have great wrestling, but she grinds. And that could cause some problems and make this fight closer to what it needs to be. I think the UFC would like Alice to catch a win here. Not related to Alex Pereira. And I'm going to go the other way. Moving on, we got Alexandro Costa versus Alden Correa. Alexandro Costa is a big, and I do mean big favorite. But when you look at him, he's losing to the upper echelons of the division, right? He's losing to the upper echelons of the division. And then when you look at Alden, coming from Fury, you know, I don't think he was in the UFC before. I think there's a big experience and level of competition that Alexandro has seen. I'm going to pick Alexandro. I like him to get his hands going, mix it up, be a full mixed martial artist in the octagon. I don't think he gets a finish, though. I think he's going to go a decision. I think it's going to be rather boring, I'm going to be honest. Moving on, we got Cedricus Dumas versus Zach Reese. I think Zach Reese should get him out of there early. I think Cedricus Dumas is just fighting for a check. He has a lot of things going on outside of the octagon. He's just fighting for a check to help pay some of those things. I don't understand how he's still in the UFC. He's not good in the slightest. And he doesn't seem comfortable in the octagon anymore. I don't know if he's training. I don't know if he's getting better. But in his last fights against Mihal's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he did not look comfortable at all. He looked scared in there. He looked scared to come forward. He hugged the fence with his back. He hugged the fence. He looked very timid. He looked very reactive. He looked very, very scared. Zach Reese has big power. And he has a nice presence in the cage. He's going to be big. He's going to be long. He's going to look to hurt Cedricus Dumas really, really bad and get one of those finishes that he hasn't had in a nice little minute. When's his last finish? Julian Marquez. A year ago. pretty active too for Zachary Reese. But I got Zachary Reese winning. Moving on, we got Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurule. I think Luis Gurule gets too much credit. He's a 2-1 favorite. I think he's getting too much credit. He hasn't proved. What has he done to be this big of a favorite over Jesus Aguilar, who has won fights in the UFC? Finished guys in the UFC. Now, Jesus Aguilar is tough because if he can't come forward and control the striking, which is it's a toss-up if he can do that. But if he can't do that and you're putting him on the back foot, he doesn't really have much to offer. One strike at a time, not really trying to engage, and it's gilly or bust. He can be taken down. Luis is a guy who can secure takedowns, and the gig is up. You can't just keep getting guillotined. You see what I'm saying? Now, like I said, Luis, he has done nothing to earn this line. This finish loss to Ode Osborne, it was bad, but Ode Osborne is a really, really good fighter. I'm going to be honest, really, really good fighter. You just saw what he was able to do with Steve Erceg. Up a weight class, there was a lot of outstanding factors, but Ode Osborne is really good, especially on the feet, and Luis did not come out there looking to wrestle. He got in a striking matchup with Ode Osborne. Ode Osborne can outpoint and really hurt guys, especially early in fights. But the fact that he was just able to be picked apart, he looked so much slower than Ode. And it's just hard for me to pick against Jesus Aguilar. One thing about Luis, though, even if he is getting touched up, he is going to come forward. Jesus has underrated power in the hands, though, but Luis is going to come forward. And I think coming forward against Jesus Aguilar is nothing but success. So I'm going to pick Luis Gurule, low confidence, by decision. Moving on, we got Amanda Lemos versus Tatiana Suarez. And I think this was pretty clear. We've seen Amanda Lemos be stuck on her back a lot. Verna Janjadova, who is a really good wrestler. Tatiana Suarez, I don't think it's crazy to say that she's on that level. I don't think it's crazy to say that at all. Wei Li just is different. We've seen plenty of dominant fighters be dominant and then fight Wei Li and look like they don't belong. Zhang Wei Li is, I'm not going to call it an outlier, but it's an outlier as far as this fight. I mean, as long as Zhang Wei Li's champion in a division, girls like these, especially these one-dimensional girls, they're not going to be champion. But the thing about Amanda Lemos, she will fade, and she can be taken down, and she can be held down. Tatiana Suarez is the master of taking you down, holding you down, and she might even find a submission. Looking to bounce back big after that Zhang Wei Li embarrassment loss, I'm going to pick her by submission in the second round. Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva. I'm going to pick Joaquim Silva because Claudio, I'm picking the guy who's coming to fight. And I don't mean that with disrespect, but Claudio can turn into the jiu-jitsu nerd. He can butt scoot. He can turn into, I'm not going to say quite Kron Gracie, but this guy he doesn't really have much to offer you on the feet. And he just wants to play jiu-jitsu off of his back. Now, in his last fight, I do believe Ferreira split decision loss. Ferreira is really, really fucking good. Now, this was a year and a half ago, and Ferreira has shown he has gotten better since then. But the thing about Claudio is, if he could secure takedowns on Joaquim Silva like he was able to, implement it in his last couple fights, it could get tricky, it could get interesting. But the thing about Joaquim Silva, he's going to bite down on a mouthpiece. He's going to come forward. He's going to look to scrap. And I think that scrap is going to make Claudio want to play the jiu-jitsu off his back game, and I think it's going to be a problem. Joaquim Silva, I look at him to avoid the grappling, even though he can grapple. Avoid the grappling, and I'll strike this guy. Beat him up. So I'm picking Joaquim Silva. Jose Medina versus Dusko Todorović. Jose Medina, man. A guy who's known for his toughness. And you know a guy's tough. The only reason we know this guy's tough is because he gets lit the fuck up. Finally got finished in his last fight against Etaba. Jose is very fucking slow. Flabby. He's very slow. And his hands aren't bad. They're just slow. I'm not going to say the technique is good, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a little awkward, but it's really, really slow. It's really, really slow. Not a lot of power in there. Not a lot of danger. His takedowns are mediocre at best. The only thing is, if he does get you down, he has good control on top. Kind of like Tuco Tocos. Takedowns aren't great. But when he gets you down there, he has some nice control. He can keep you there. And he can work. Dusko's going to light Jose Medina up. Dusko can wrestle. Wow, I didn't realize he was on this kind of a skid. Nasty. But this is a huge step down in competition from COD and with Zachary's here and Mansour Abdul Malik. Damn, I didn't know. I didn't know it was that bad of a skid. Both guys on skid. The loser probably gets cut. The loser probably gets cut, but I think Dusko doubles, maybe even triples his strikes. Jose Medina probably hangs tough in here. This probably makes it to the final bell. But I think Dusko doubles, maybe even triples the strikes. Jose Medina's not a guy who's going to go all in on the wrestling. He will sit there, smile at you at range, and get lit the fuck up for 15. And that's what I think is going to happen. Moving on, we got Santiago Luna versus Quang Le. Santiago Luna making his UFC debut, representing Mexico against Quang Le. Now look, Santiago, good striker. I can say he's a good striker, undefeated. Not a lot of experience. And here's the thing about, Luna. Sorry. Here's the thing about Luna. This could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you take it. In his fights, he's being put in adversity. He's getting put in unadvantageous positions. I don't know if that's the word, but just roll with me. You feel me? He's getting put in positions to where, okay, kind of in trouble. But he weathers those storms and wins. Now, on one end, you can say, well, okay, you can show him adversity and he can show up and he can get through that adversity. And on the other hand, you can say, well, he's fighting guys at the Guadalajara State Fair. I don't know if they have fairs, but you get what I'm getting at. And they're giving him a test. Depends on how you want to look at it. The thing about Quang Le is he's not really that good. And this might sound harsh. I'm not going to say he's not UFC level, but he's not that great. But he did style on Gastelum Bolaños, outstruck him and submitted him. In a pretty impressive performance in a fight where I picked Gastelum Bolaños to win. So it's tough. Quang Le, he's a guy who gets lit up on the feet, a negative striking differential. But the fact that I've seen, Border Boy is crazy. The fact that I've seen Santiago be put in bad positions by guys who I just have to assume are not on Quang Le's level. Quang Le can offer some very, very, very big problems to Santiago. Tough guy in Santiago. There is a threat of a submission maybe if he finds a submission, but I think Quang Le's just going to be faster. I think Quang Le's going to get touched up, but I think he's going to be faster, and I think the experience is going to take over, and he's going to put Santiago in those same bad positions, not horrible, but bad positions that he was put in his regional fights, and keep him in those positions. Moving on, we got Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. This is a kind of a tough one to call, but I'm going to pick Diego, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to pick Diego because, first of all, I think Alexander Hernandez, I think the boxing is about even. I think Diego Ferreira is the better boxer, I'm going to be honest. But I think Alexander Hernandez is the faster boxer, and he is fast, and he does have explosiveness early. The thing about him is he fades, and I can't get it out of my head. The Kurt Holloway fight, I think it was 2 fights ago at this point. I don't think he won that fight. And the fact that there was a 30-27 on his side, I think that fight was very, very close, and I remember scoring it for Kurt Holloway. And the thing is, Alexander Hernandez does have wrestling. Diego Ferreira's probably the better wrestler. Especially defensively, it's going to be hard to take down Diego Ferreira. Alexander Hernandez is going to be faster and more explosive, but come round 2, round 3, Diego's going to start piling it on. Diego doesn't fade. Alexander Hernandez does fade. And I think this fight plays out. Alexander Hernandez wins the first round. Diego Ferreira wins the 3rd round. And the 2nd round is close as hell. And we're going to see a whole bunch of robberies on Twitter because that's just how it works. But I think Diego Ferreira is going to rally into the 2nd round, into the 3rd round, mix it up, be able to reverse certain positions, scramble hard. You know, this isn't... He did get out-wrestled by Grant Dawson. This isn't Grant Dawson that he's fighting. Alexander Hernandez. And the thing is, even though he was getting out-grabbed by Grant Dawson, that fight got a little hairy at times, and he made Grant Dawson work. Grant Dawson was fucking gassed. He made Grant Dawson work. Diego Ferreira is the essence of making people work. He does have good hands. And Alex Hernandez, his speed is going to slow down, while Diego's just going to stay the same, if not speed-wise, but as far as just output and volume and pressure is just going to go up. I like Diego Ferreira by decision. I think Diego Ferreira is going to be an underdog, so I like him plus 3.5. Moving on, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. The thing is, this is a tough one too. These are 2 guys who beat the guys they're supposed to beat, and they lose to the guys who they're supposed to lose to. You know, both guys who have not had easy matchmaking at all in the slightest, but whenever they get somebody on their level, they beat them. And so you match them up, and I'm not mad at the matchup at all. Kevin Gastelum minus 240 for the rest of his career is going to be a red flag and a turnoff because you just can't trust the guy. You can't trust the guy to make the weight. You can't trust the guy to fight the correct style depending on the matchup. You can't trust the guy to wrestle. Can't trust the guy to. You just can't trust him. Can't trust him to pick up the output when he needs to. Can't really trust him. But the thing about it is, I think he's the better boxer. Dustin Stoltzfus might have more power in the hands, but Kevin Gastelum's tough as fuck, right? I think Kevin Gastelum is the better boxer, the faster boxer. I think he's even slicker. And it's just about the wrestling. Kevin Gastelum can wrestle. You know, this isn't Sean Brady that he's fighting. Kevin Gastelum can wrestle, and he can defend takedowns. So I think Kevin Gastelum just not going to cruise. It's going to be a little tough, but I think Kevin Gastelum outfights him to a decision. But minus 240, that's ugly as fuck. Moving on, we got Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia. I'm picking Jared Gordon. Okay? We got Rafa Garcia, who just robbed Vince Pichel. I don't want to hear it. Vince Pichel won that fight. Vince Pichel outstruck Rafa Garcia. And the grappling was not that big of a difference. Okay? Jared Gordon, on the other hand, a guy who's been getting robbed. He's a big guy getting robbed. You know, you got the no contest to Bobby Green in a fight where he was winning. You got the loss to Patty Pimblett in a fight that I'm pretty sure he clearly won. And then you got the loss to Nazarat Hasperaz, where I think he won that fight as well. You know, so maybe a little bit of bad karma for Rafa Garcia with a little bit of good karma for Jared Gordon. We just saw Rafa Garcia get gifted a decision, and he's fighting on Mexican Independence Day. I don't know if that's exactly Mexican Independence Day, but that's what the card's for. We're not in Mexico, though. I'm picking Jared Gordon. I mean, Jared Gordon is a really good fighter. He's a guy who could be fighting in the rankings. And I don't mean like the top rankings, but the 15, the 10s, he could be fighting those guys. You know, give Jared Gordon Michael Chandler. Jared Gordon probably beats Michael Chandler. You see what I'm saying? Michael Chandler's ranked what? I don't know. Right? So, I like Jared Gordon. Nasty boxing. Not the fastest guy, but he's so good with timing. He's so good with rhythm when he picks up on the rhythm. He's so good at countering. And he does have power in the hands that you have to respect. And as far as the wrestling, he can wrestle as well. So the wrestling probably cancels out. I think this is going to play out majorly on the feet. And if Vince Pichel can outstrike you, Jared Gordon shouldn't have a problem. Let's just hope he doesn't get robbed. Let's add him to that 3-man that I had with Zach Reese. There's one more coming up later on in the fight. We got David Martinez versus Rob Font. This is a fun one. I think this is going to predominantly be on the feet. And I have to pick the better, more proved boxer in a predominantly boxing matchup. And for that, I have to pick Rob Font. I think Rob Font's going to be faster. I think Rob Font's going to have better timing. I think Rob Font is the better boxer. Defensively and offensively, he has a great jab. He's good at building off of that jab. While David Martinez, I think, has more power in the hands. So if David lands a great shot, could get tricky. But I think as far as if we're talking about tit for tat, outpointing, I think Rob Font's going to have more volume. I think he's going to be able to do great with the pressure. And if David Martinez does try to change level, I expect Rob Font to be ready for that. I think Gene Matsumoto is a better fighter than David Martinez. Now, some people think Gene Matsumoto won that fight. I'm kind of one of them. But I can understand how Rob Font won that fight. Very, very close. I'm not going to say robbery. But Gene Matsumoto tested every aspect of MMA in that fight, which he is really good at every aspect of MMA. And Rob Font, he fought with flying colors. And I like Rob Font's elbows as well. I like Rob Font. I like Rob Font to win this fight. I think I can win a decision. And I think the line's correct. Now, main event. This is the third leg of the 3-man. We got Gene Silva versus Diego Lopes. The odds seem very, very wide. But I think they're going to look very accurate on fight night. Give me Gene Silva. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a finish. Diego Lopes is tough as shit. Now, we saw Alexander Volkanovski rock Diego Lopes. We saw that. Right? Alex Volkanovski is not known for his hands. But the thing about Diego, he's so telegraphed. He has a lot of speed, a lot of power in the hands. But it's his feet. His footwork isn't great. He doesn't cut the cage off. He chases. And mobility is his biggest nightmare. Mobility. And we saw Volkanovski win most of the boxing exchanges in the pocket with Diego Lopes. He won more boxing exchanges in the pocket than Diego Lopes. And a fight where a lot of us Volk fans were like, Volk, we need you to stay long. Volk went into the pocket a lot per round and won majority of them. Outstruck Diego, making Diego miss. Gene Silva's going to be faster Okay, it's hard to be faster than Volkanovski, but Gene Silva, he's so good at changing the pace, changing the tempo, being loose, putting your guard down, lulling you down, pop, pop, real fast, hit you with shit you don't see at different angles. And I think Gene Silva is going to be more than fine dancing, because he's not the highest output guy. He doesn't really put that much output on you. He doesn't. But when he does go and he does throw, it's hard, right? Kind of like Huffy. Huffy isn't high volume. But when he lands, it's really bad, right? And we've seen Gene Silva. He can wrestle now. So, not now, but we see that he can wrestle. We can assume that he has... It's a little tricky. He has been taken down at times. But he makes you work. He gets right back up to his feet if he is taken down. And he's not worried at all. He's so composed. I think Gene Silva's going to dance around, hit Diego with hard fucking shots while making Diego miss. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a finish. But I think Diego just gets whooped for 25. And that's the third leg of the 3-man. Let me know what y'all feeling. Let's go ahead and save these. Like, comment, subscribe, share this to somebody I know they enjoy like you did. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get up out of here, man. Yeet.